This is Dr. Bey with 5 and 6, otherwise known as Space Time Medicine, where we represent medical mathematics and the genius of ancient medicine. Um, Medical math goes back to the time of Imhotep, to the genius of the current era. And what we want to do with this series is to speak with those who interpret and utilize this medicine to help create new technologies. But we also want to learn from their journey. At times, we will bring in topics that provide a cross dimensional relationship to our main themes. Again, I'm Dr. Bey, medical mathematician, author, father, innovator, doctor of acupuncture for 20 years or more, and love what we do. My role here, again, is to bring the most fascinating and remarkable human beings in their field to share content that will help you navigate our changing medical world. Beautiful. So today with me, I've got Dr. Amsu, uh, who is an abbot as well of his mountain in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. He is a practitioner, as I would say, of East Asian medicine for 25 years or more. And the purpose of this conversation is to speak with him to discuss his background, the route to the profession, dimensions of his experience, innovation, and much more. So, wanted to introduce you, brother. Very nice to see you through this medium, and we'll be seeing one another soon, I'm sure, in the flesh. But tell us a little bit about, uh, uh, well, tell us about yourself, your name, but how you got started and your upbringing with this medicine.
All right.
What's that timeline?
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Bay. I really appreciate being here with you this afternoon. It's always good to see your smiling face. You've always been a eloquent brother, and always been able to talk to you about some very, very wonderful things and things that really matter to me. And for me, it started out, oh man, back in the early, well, around 1990 when I came into myself and I was given a magazine by a friend of mine, brother, who actually just recently went to the ancestor realm back in May, and it was a magazine, was Institute of Ancient Wisdom, and that was another brother who was gone, Ishmael Jamal. He was what I would call my Jegna back then, and he was having a workshop with all the greats, Wade Goss, Lilo Africa, Queen of Fools, some of the names that we have very much been familiar with, and you yourself being around such a long time, time in the game as we call it. And we met down in Cottonwood, Alabama at the
Mm.
Bonner's Brothers Hair Care Facility with the hot springs and wellness center that they have. And that was the first time I actually met Brother Jamal. And the thing he said was, if you really want to learn about yourself and your ancestors, he said, "Won't you go study Tai Chi?" I was like, "Tai Chi?" He's like, "Yeah." He says, that way you can connect with the energy
Mhm.
and the things that we discuss. And as time went on, I started to, spend more time with him and the group of people that were coming to learn some of the things. But on that particular day, I saw something that was really phenomenal happen there. And he broke us up into these groups of four. So
Mm.
it was an earth group, a water group, a fire group, and an air group. And each group had, I say, 15 to 20 people, 25 people. And then while he was there, he started to do these movements in the center. But what I found very interesting at that time is that with each group, so when the water group got in, it started to drizzle, and then I saw when the air group came in, the wind started to blow, Then when the Earth group came in, it got very silent. Everything just seemed to get very peaceful. Not even an airplane over above. And
Wow.
then when the fire group came in, the sun came out. And that was like, okay, that was my cottonwood miracle, as we call it. So that was the part of the journey, and and from that, being in another profession in electronics and in the engineering field, I just was tired of doing the travel, and I was being more drawn
Hmm.
to this, you know. And as you know, and as part of the journey with the names that we are given, born with, and things of that nature, I saw this process bring that to fruition. So coming from an electronics background into a energetic electro piezoelectric background in acupuncture, I see I've stayed consistent with the name from the first to now. From the charge to the amperes. So we're all dealing with energy, and as energy beings, that is I'm very grateful to be involved.
So when you were younger, uh, did you have any experiences there with the spiritual realm, so to speak, or with healing, or was your grandmother a healer? What what was some of the first taste, even when you were younger, with this type of medicine?
Well, it sounds like she just tapped you on your shoulder. 'Cause that was Mary Abbott. Um,
Hmm.
Mary Abbott down in Currituck, North Carolina. She
Hmm.
was a midwife.
Hmm.
She and her sister. She was a midwife, so they
Wow.
went to herbs, and she rode around in a horse-drawn carriage back in the day, being a
Wow.
midwife. Delivered over 400 children from all accounts, and lived to a ripe age of 96, 97
Hmm.
to that effect. But what I found with as a young child, as a young boy, I remember lying in my bedroom, and now I know I was somewhere in between the awake state and the sleep state, but I would
Hmm.
see these like dancing characters above my head. I would call them cartoon characters if we looked at them, but they showed up, and they would show up. But then if someone would come in my room, like one of my parents or something, they disappear. So I found that rather fascinating now. But as time went on, there were things that were happening to me because I knew I was protected, or things that I was being looked after. And from my grandparent, from my grandmother to my sister. And I was about to make a decision to go to Chinese medicine school, and they showed up in a dream. And she and my sister both, who both had passed on,
Hmm.
they told me, they said, "Okay, it's time for you to do your work now." So that
Wow.
that's how I ended up doing what we're doing.
It's so beautiful. And you mentioned Chinese medicine. We're talking about East Asian medicine, Chinese medicine, TCM, clinical, classical Chinese medicine. What for folks like ourselves, right? Uh, who come from the lines and you know the soil of the earth type of folk that we come from. Midwife. My own father, remembers his midwife. Name of his midwife, Lula Mae Kemp, Savannah, Georgia, delivered over 1,000 children in Sandfly
Wow.
outside of as Thunderbolt. What similarities, what essence of principles do you think they share? They didn't go to school, right? Their school was life
Mm.
with Chinese medicine. What have you seen that's similar, of course, and different?
Well, the similarities to me ring in the tradition. I like to bring up our brother who also just crossed over, Runoko Rashidi, Baba
Mm,
Rashidi, just a few days ago, and it was his books, The African Presence in Early Asia.
Yes.
That kind of turned some things on for me. But when you speak of our ancestors, we know that we are all connected because that was what he was giving us a picture of. And there are things that we're coming across nowadays when it comes down to earthing and grounding. And our ancestors, they were close to the earth. They wore leather bottom shoes, or they were barefooted, or wore moccasins.
Hmm.
And they woke up with the sun. They went to bed when the sun went down. They weren't, bombarded or pressed with a lot of technology. And gratefully that we do have the technology. But there we are with the yin and yang. So when we speak about it, for us as doctors, practitioners of the science and of the medicine, we are carrying on their tradition, but we're connecting and using something that's been in place for a very long time. We're just using different tools, and we use the herbal medicine. We use hands-on things. And, I remember, um, just when you think about the origins of it all,
Hmm.
it was about people getting along, feeling better, maintaining their health and longevity. And as us as professionals, when we think about what we're doing to help people stay well, to help ourselves stay well, being connected to the earth is what our ancestors did. They ate things that was in season. They canned things. And what do we talk about in the five elements? Staying in harmony with the seasons, staying in harmonies with the time of day. And they had respect and offered respect to that.
Hmm. Hmm. We're so grateful for them, I tell you. Well, you know, in looking at, say, Imhotep, looking at medical math, uh, how does it show up in your current practice of medicine? What tools, speaking of tools, right? Um, which have you found the most useful at this stage in your practice?
Well, we have a toolbox now, right? We have a
Yeah.
toolbox, and we came into the toolbox using our oracle systems. Okay, our oracle systems that we use as our tools of mathematics, based on the time phases, um, uh, vibrations, sacred words, being able to express ourselves, because we know that first there was the word, so we have to have this vibration in order to bring things into harmony. Okay, um, and as it is now, we use the technology that's available to us, okay, to offer and to stimulate the benevolent chi, that vast amount of those electrons and and things that make things move in order for us to heal, to fill up the container so that a person can have the energy that they need. So for us, we're offering the technology of today, but we also, giving respect to the past of the tradition and the foundation of the tradition. So with the acupuncture, with the cupping, we're also looking at using nowadays the dental protocols that are so important, um, as well as, again, we go back to the astrology and also the oracle systems that are incorporated with that.
And I love to circle back sooner than later on some of those dental protocols. Those happen to be quite where a lot of research is taking place, as well as I think I've shared with some of the doctors here at the school that we teach at, is how I think two areas of influence, two areas of research that we really should be studying over the next 9, 10 years should be around the digestive system, the neurological system, especially in relationship to phases of change, say the earth change, the sun, moon in particular.
Mm.
NASA just put out a couple weeks ago about how the moon is wobbling and
Mm.
how it is affecting, liquid oceans and so on Earth. Well, human body is 72% liquid,
Yeah,
so
exactly.
bound to have some effect there. So I love to circle back on around that. So I do want to just shift a little bit here, getting into the stage of kind of revelation for you as a practitioner, right?
Yeah.
We were talking about ancestors and those who come before us, and you know, when we practice, things are made clear. We make ourselves available; they're made clear. What are some of the revelations that you've had in your tenure as a practitioner, say of East Asian medicine, ancestral medicine, and so on?
We come here for a purpose. Okay, we come this way for a purpose, and there's there's this story that's playing out. This drama, this action packed film, love story, romance. Okay, and these these themes, these scripts are being written on a daily basis, and oftentimes we're fortunate enough to be able to wake up in the moment and realize that we're actually in a play, that we're in a movie,
Mm.
and to understand that it's all transitory because look, talking about going back to Egypt, the ancient Egyptians did say if it's real, it doesn't change. So we are in a reality that is not necessarily static and hard and in a place where it's something that where we think that it's always going to stay the same. So what I've come to understand is that we're always in a phase of change. And this phase of change is what this medicine really is about. There's always a change in the season. Each day, every 2 hours, we're going to a different organ system. Okay. So what I've come to understand is that just be prepared for the excitement and for the journey. And whoever comes through the door, we always want to indicate to them that we don't want to get too far outside of the parameters because we can go from one extreme to the next, and those areas, the yin and yang. Okay, the yin fish, the yang fish. There's no number higher than nine. It's just a replication of what has come before. And did we learn to learn the lesson? So for my patients that come through the door, oftentimes I see them as a reflection of myself and how if I've gone through it and I've been able to get over that hurdle, then I know I can express that, help them on their way because I always say to people like, okay, there is yin and yang. You looking at me, I'm looking at you.
Mhm.
What can we learn from each other?
Well said. I did want to get into this idea of what is, if you could explain, what is Asiatic medicine and natural vitality? Explain to our listening audience what that is.
Asian medicine. At one point, and it has been written that the planet was called Asia. Okay, so we're talking about Terra, Mother Earth. This is the the medicine of the planet. This is the way in which things move and flow. You spoke about the research going forward in regards to the moon. Okay, in the phases of the moon. This is based on the connection to the great mother. As the Tao Te Ching, they always speak of, the mother of the 10,000 things. So through our physical form, we're able to experience things. And that's what Asian medicine represents to me. It's about being in tune, being in harmony, and taking the advantage of what you know, so that you don't have to go through the difficult cycles or the punishments. And if one does have to go through it, they understand that there is a specific reason for it, instead of taking the victim role. And what was this second part of your question, please?
Natural vitality. What is natural vitality when we have consciousness? Because that's what we're talking about there. When you say, for some, they view, oh, there's a hell when you're done, but really, no, it's meted out while you're alive, and it's based upon whether one is aware of it or not. Explain how we can get to natural vitality with that type of consciousness.
Yeah, and that's great, because we have different schools of thought, philosophies, or you have battlefield medicine, or you have natural medicine, mother's medicine, earth medicine, galactic. Um, and we go through these phases, but learning that, hey, understanding that we are going to have blockages, but what brought that into place? And how do I remove that blockage so that I can remain to have that natural vitality? The natural vitality is allowing ourselves to be conduits. Okay, and becoming a conduit is creating the least amount of resistance, taking the path of least resistance. Because when we take the path of resistance, that's when it's the real struggle. But like we talk about athletes or people who do things that what we would consider extraordinary, and they go, oh, they were in the zone, they were really in the zone. And so natural vitality to me is being in your own zone, because all of us are not created at the same time, and we come in with different assignments and different interests in life.
Hmm.
And then in order to be vital, one, we must give ourselves and do the things that make us happy. One of my teachers, Brother Jamal, used to say, he says, you either you're gonna serve or you're gonna suffer.
Hmm.
So I would choose to be of service, because being of service remains people vital, keeps us vital. Like, you think about people who do things for people, just how much energy that gives them.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Amazing. Well, we share, of course, so many teachers, I tell you. Um, and of course, there's one in particular that lives in that area, which we've talked about and met on several occasions. Um, Dr. Mitchell Earl Gibson, or Master Mitchell Earl Gibson.
Yeah.
Um, when we talk about the human potential, there's vitality, right? So we talked about extremes earlier, that depending on one's awareness, consciousness, they could be uh, constantly in this trouble, problematic, punishing cycle, right, in their lives.
Yeah.
And of course, there's some complexities with that sometimes. But for the most part, when someone says, I want to fly right, I want to straighten up and fly right. Okay. What that awareness or consciousness is doing is saying, okay, I want to reduce my extremes in my life because I've seen where it goes. Don't matter who they are, right?
Right.
What he's saying is that's that chance to gain vitality, right? That's that chance to be in the zone, to listen, observe, sense, and so on. Go beyond the five senses. In the revelatory world, going beyond the five senses generally brings about certain gifts. Not that we need to seek them, but they're byproducts. Clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, telepathy, bilocation, a few things like that. In referencing to one of the teachers that I just mentioned, talk if you would a little bit about the human possibility, maybe just for a moment, once we have vitality.
Right. Yes. Um, it brings me to Lao Tzu, where he said, "Those who travel farther travel the lightest."
Mm.
And Dr. Mitchell Earl Gibson, that's such a great name when I think about it.
Yes,
And it's
yes,
outstanding, brother. And just in how I came across his name, it's pretty amazing.
yeah.
But it, when I think about him, I can really smile about he and his
Mhm.
wife and things that they've been doing
Yes,
for years now, and how someone like that can really help you lighten the load because they're such a great model.
hmm,
Okay, coming from times, traditions, family, the things that we have with our families, and breaking down those places and saying, okay, this is possible. Okay, so to be more than human, for the most part, to offer a way to bring someone up to a place and do it in a way that's very honorable
yes,
and acceptable and transparent in this day and time as a brother with with respect. So it's really the only thing I can say is that he's brought a lot of people to the table. He's brought a lot of people up, man.
yeah.
That's all I can say. That's the come up, brother.
It's so true. It's so true. Yeah, bless that family. Bless
Yeah.
the family, man. Great people. Um, so yeah, so when we talk about say the human possibility, and there's many who have reached that level, who are authentic, and of course there's a lot of frauds and charlatans that some people have to work through, but it's part of the process. But when you get to meet that authentic, uh, gosh, link, it does wonders. So yes, the human possibility, Asiatic medicine, natural vitality. These are indeed, uh, I think, wonders of our experience, and so we're just elaborating on them. And we hope for our listening audience, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to us for um, uh, any clarity or so on. So pivoting again here in our discussion is really getting into innovation.
Mm, mm.
Uh, so in terms of again your professional life, your personal life, what are what are ways that you see innovation is necessary? What have you innovated with your tools as we go forward in this change? This really change in medicine. The COVID-19 has really spawned an innovative side of necessity. What ways are you seeing that?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question because we're outside of what is the obvious. Um, I always talk about the small intestines, being the organ of discernment and being able to
Right.
discern and see things. And as we're having this conversation, uh, as you was talking about clairvoyance, clairaudience,
Yes.
being able to hear the truth, being able to see the truth, being able to speak the truth. This is something that goes back, thousands of years. Humans have been here, and right now, for me, is to use the tools that I've accumulated during this time to be able to offer a service that will remediate things that show up for people. And whatever that is and whatever I need to do. And it may be something that I may get the night before in a dream. Maybe something. So when we speak about that, so there's those places in the dream world, um, that offer solutions. solutions for us to move forward and be able to resolve the challenges that may be there for us in the next day. As far as the tools are concerned, well, obviously we're going to use the tools of the profession. It's just in which combination, whether it's electroacupuncture, the Qigongs, um, the oracles, and the other devices, or if whether we just sitting around speaking to someone, if I'm talking to someone, because perhaps that is the blockage that they need to resolve. But nowadays, with the technology that we have, um, with to go along with the wisdom that has been gained over time, this is where the marriage is now. Okay, because things happen much faster. I know here definitely in the last year, how things can, and I could say something, and the next thing I know, man, it's happening, or I'll see it, or it appears right before me. And I know I'm not the only one that's experiencing that, because I see you bobbing your head, and I talk to people every day, and they go, "Yeah, yeah, absolutely." Yeah. So the technology is happening now as we move forward, and that's the technology that has always been here. Um, Being able to ride those waves, ride those frequencies like a surfer, someone who's able to use a surfboard. It's just staying on top, but navigating to where we need to go, and resolving those things that present a challenge.
Mhm. One of the things I really enjoy about the medicine we practice is, has different iterations, and it's as with everything, is like it's based on the human being, right? Whoever practices it. So if all you're seeing is acupuncture, right, as your means to treat, then that's where you are. No judgment. But the beauty is that and maybe it's with all things, right? But the beauty is that the deeper you look at it, we have a book, Wang Di Neijing, right?
Hmm.
The Nanjing, Ling Shu, spiritual pivot, all these things. They were written as a code, like it was codified
Mm.
until, so if you have the capacity to view it from that level,
Yes.
it's there.
Mm.
But if you're only operating on, what am I going to eat today? Or which bills do I have to pay? No judgment, just saying it's real life. Then that's there too, right? You know, talk about this multi-dimensional experience we're having, and how that can possibly be tapped into. You talked about the zone, talked about vitality, right? We talked about the gifts. Talk about possible techniques for practitioners to get into that place prior to treating,
Yes.
or staying in that place,
Right.
so that they can really grow as a human being too.
Yes. And that's the mornings are good, obviously, and to get up before the sun, and to assume certain postures. That was the foundation for me before I got here, was the Qigongs, and that's what Brother Jamal had prescribed for me, the Qigongs and the Tai Chi, as a way to connect with my Chi body, with my breath body, with the Wu Wei body.
Mhm.
Um, and it's important as a practitioner, as someone who uses the medicine as a way to get in touch with the day, because a lot of times, as you know, things come in your door, and it's like, well, okay, this is a surprise here. I wasn't absolutely expecting this one to show up today, but then again, something in those meditation and those breathing practices prepared you for that moment. It prepares you for that moment to move past that. So that's the importance of it. The importance of integrating all of those tools, whether or not it's your 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 written tools, whether it's your sacred text and things that you use as guides for yourself, those those postures, those postures that would have been handed down. And many times you may not know about these postures until someone tells you, because as there's just only so many that you can hold, but over time people have used them to get great results, and to induce the longevity gene, for them to live longer, to find ways to eat better, and to recognize that some things that we consume may be slowing us down, or they may be creating havoc in our body, or they may be beneficial for us. So I find that those postures, that connection to the earth, is essential in practicing this medicine.
Mhm. Mhm. And so, again, just for our listening audience, I think everyone is aware we're talking about, I've described it, East Asian medicine, Chinese medicine, classical Chinese medicine, TCM. Um, we're, of course, our experience, we connect to our ancestors. We, we, we hit the ground running when we came into the system, right? Um, Myself, herbalist, grandmother, I learned a lot of things there. But most folks may not know that there's a difference just in kind of the liturgical understanding of the medicine we practice. That TCM came a little later, right?
Right.
Really started around 71, 72. But, without it, we wouldn't know really what acupuncture, herbal medicine, that system was. Um, and so, yeah, going forward, uh, just looking at the medicine we practice, we talked about innovation and so on. Um, what do you think is needed really in the world going forward amongst practitioners, not just of this medicine, but of course, but as a whole? Amongst practitioners of any medicine. What do you think that quintessential understanding is?
Well, for me, it's important to be able to transmit the medicine properly.
Hmm.
And when I think about the people who where I come from, and I always say this, I say many of us have eaten Chinese food, and it's all in our neighborhoods, right? It happens, and it's there everywhere, but we've never been introduced to the health system that the Chinese use, or that the Asians use. I just don't want to just lay it on the Chinese, but
Yeah.
the Asians use themselves. And I think that going forward, especially for us, um, because it connects so much to our ancestral lines and our parent lines and our bloodlines, that this is something that we're able to pass on so that families know how to take care of themselves, because there's so many different people have different ideas about health and what health is. And what is your definition of health? Okay, because some definition of health for some people may be to crash the symptom, just obliterate the symptom, and now you're gonna be healthy. And I know you've seen this time and time again, people who've taken that philosophy, then they end up on your table or at your desk or in your office, and they going, okay, all right, help me, because the people who obliterated all the symptoms said they can't do anything else for me. And so now it's up to us to help them, which oftentimes we're successful at, because what we do is we connect them back to themselves. So what I would like to see going forward is more of a community education, more of a where people are taught more about this, and not just necessarily Chinese medicine, but also other cultural medicines that they're associated with. Because outside of that, we will be given a remedy for something that we can handle ourselves for the
Mhm,
most part.
mhm.
Not saying that things aren't necessary, but then again, uh, with a solid immune system, we can take care of ourselves.
When you speak of like that community education, because of who we are in this country and our experience, Dr. Matula Shakur, and what they were doing with their community education in late 60s, early 70s, mid 70s, was quite natural, normal, right? If we don't want you to take care of us, we can take care of ourselves. We never ask for anything anyway.
Mhm.
Being in the system, though, innovation wise, requires some capital.
Absolutely.
So, I think that there's so many ways now. We talked about technology to bring that capital. You and I in the past have talked about uh, just your local community, of course, education and so on. But also, you hear the buzzword now, buzzword in a way, HBCUs, right? Really establishing that pipeline,
Absolutely.
so to speak, for any person of color, in particular, practitioner who wants to bring up more and sustain uh, this transmission, if you would. Um, uh, Talk a little bit about that again, that future transmission, just a little bit more into possibly those arenas and the community.
Oh man, you and I've had this conversation,
Yeah.
and being a product of Norfolk State, and
Well, that state.
um, because our travels take us to different places,
Hmm.
and my travels have taken me to places, and I see, well, it would be great, it would be a good thing for us to have this type of information for the next generations to bring into the workforce, um, to bring about to entrepreneurs, and to bring about the technology that is necessary for the next generations that are following us. And I think that the HBCU pipeline would offer a great avenue, would be a great avenue to introduce what it is that we're doing. And it'll reconnect us back to where we came from, because many of those schools were built by the students, because of what was necessary at the time. They didn't have the resources, so they had to be able to have the ingenuity and be able to figure it out. And I think that's what we have to do now in regards to incorporating some of these health practices. Yeah. So,
Hmm.
I'm really ecstatic to see that. That would be a wonderful thing to see those things come about.
Mm. It's amazing. Well, for all of those who've been following our conversation, one of the reasons that we wanted to bring this to everyone is to know that we are here. We've been doing this for some time, um, and there is a line of transmission, as we talked about, which we want everyone to feel, who connects with this message, to be a part of, and to keep it going, because you have the power. It's really free energy. We talked about coming from extremes where we're just wasting all of our energy and time and gossip or whatever that defeats that, and then bringing it into a natural, vital state where the possibilities are endless. This conversation is based upon a review, connection, understanding, revelations, innovations, and ways to go forward with this medicine. Amsu, I would say, do you have the name of your center, a website, your social media handles, all that good stuff? And if you wouldn't mind placing that into the conversation so others can know about you and look you up.
Oh yeah, well thank you so much, dear. Yeah, so we're Sustaining Life Wellness Center. We're in Winston Salem, North Carolina, and our web address is Triad acupuncturewellness.com. Okay, we're SLWC 16 on Instagram. So we have some other things that are coming up here soon. We're reorganizing, so we'll be able to offer some other social media addresses as well. But yeah, so and you can reach out to us if you'd like to at 336 We'll be glad to entertain any questions you may have about acupuncture and how it can, or healing in general, and the way it may serve you. If you have friends or family members, we do distal consults and things like that as well. So look forward to expanding on what we have discussed because the world definitely could use more of it or
Yes.
become aware of it. And I'm so grateful to be able to share this time with you because it really does it really helps, and it really helps me. I'm grateful. That's all I can say. I'm grateful, man.
The feeling's mutual, and we've known each other many years. And I tell you, it's from the first moment there was a connection, and so this work spans generations. And so to have a connection with someone else of the same stock caliber who understands the history
Mhm.
is a blessing. So we're very grateful as well. Well, I like to say, Amsu, it's been a joy to interview you and talk to you today. Thank you for being a guest on 5 and 6. Of course, we look forward to
Yes, sir.
having you back.
Yeah,
Uh,
be glad to.
and to everyone out there who's listening, I just want to say thank you for being a part of this experience. And if you would like to learn more or participate in any of our courses, go to bayacupuncture.com. And of course, all of our information is there, our social media, and so on as well.